Okay, so Clay and I are now back on our DreamWorks marathon because we finished the playthrough of Fatal Frame 2. I am going to do a video on that. I'm hoping to record it later today, but I have some notes. There's some things like I want to make sure I talk about all the things I really liked about the game, all the things I really disliked about the game. Madagascar 2 is something I could really talk about just off the cuff, which is what I've been doing with all the DreamWorks movies. So my basic, familiarity with the movie, I've never seen it before. I've seen Madagascar 1, I don't know if I would say several times, but like a small handful of times, and I've always thought it's fine. If you watched my video on it, I still think it's fine. I called it Madagascar, which, yes, it's a low-hanging pun, but it's also kind of what I think of it. It's a pretty mid-movie. I don't like the plasticky look of all the cast. They just look kind of weird. And on top of that, I don't think their actual designs are bad. Putting a quick pin. But generally, it's just the look of the movie is kind of weird to me. Let me take the pin out. The one exception is Melman. I hate the way he looks. It's his eyes, it's his teeth. He's scarier than most of the ghosts in Fatal Frame 2. Look, I could be honest about that for a second. He's just gross. I want him off my screen. I will say, though, I like the look of Madagascar 2 a lot more than 1. Melman still looks gross as hell to me, but it doesn't have that plasticky sheen. And it's not just Madagascar that did it, because I noticed quite a few DreamWorks movies of that era did as well. Over the Hedge, Flushed Away. There might be another one I'm not remembering, but those movies had that very similar look. I mean, Shark Tale was just fucking gross. It wasn't even it was kind of the plastic, but also was just awful in every conceivable way. But, that's my video on it. I can't hate Shark Tale, weirdly enough. But anyways, point, Madagascar 2. So the first movie was very much just, the first half is about Marty. I want to go see the world. And then he goes to see it, and then once they're seeing the world, it transitions to being about Alex, realizing that he is a hunter, he is a predator, he is a carnivore, and there's meat everywhere. They happen to be his friends in the lemurs, and him struggling with his predator mentality, which I actually think is really interesting. I think the first half of the movie is fine, and I think the second half is way more interesting, but alas, it also has King Julian. I really don't like King Julian. I don't think he's funny. I think his voice is annoying as hell. I think every now and then, it's like he can say something that's kind of funny, and then the bit goes on too long. For example, Melman shows up in the airplane because they have an airplane which they fire off a slingshot. I fucking love the penguins. But, he's like, hey, our drinks are kind of late. Where are they? And Julian immediately looks at him and is like, hey, this is first class. I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, this is first class. You gotta go. And I'm like, that's actually pretty funny. Then he just keeps talking, and I'm like, well, this bit is now kind of ruined. You've got this one bit where he's talking about, let's sacrifice people to a volcano. It's probably not gonna work, but hey, it might, it's kind of funny. Just the concept of me, hey, I am a far lesser species than all of you because I'm a lemur, and here we've got lions, elephants, giraffes, things that could step on me and absolutely destroy me. But I've got an idea and it's gonna work. And you're like, okay, it's insane. It's kind of funny. And then he just keeps going with this fake conversation between, him and gods being like, oh no, won't you eat more? Oh no, I'm full. Oh, well, please eat more. Oh no. And then it's not funny, and his voice, I remember Clay kept saying, he's like, his voice makes me want to gouge my eyes out. I was like, but Clay, that doesn't solve the problem. You would still be listening to it. You would have blinded yourself for nothing. You fool! But, oh fuck, I hate him. The penguins, on the other hand, whenever they're on screen, I'm actually thoroughly entertained. I find them very funny. They're the union joke when they're negotiating with the monkeys near the end of the movie, I think is hilarious. The scene with the old lady, who is a recurring character, we'll talk about her, and I'll get to the main characters as well. there's a scene where they hijack a car, find her in it, kick her off. Is she dead? No. And then they go back to run her over and then keep going. Like, that's so funny. That is amazing. I know I said this in a Madagascar 1 video. I don't know if I think if the Penguins could hold their own movie, because I know they have one. I don't know if, to me, it's just like, no, they're hilarious in small doses. But if they get their own thing and start the show, the shtick's gonna just not be as fun. It's gonna kind of wear off on me really quickly. Or if, no, they are, I mean, so far, think they're the best part of the first movie, the best part of the second movie. Oh, look what my mom's here. I'm at my parents' house right now, and, like, my dad and I are about to go get food, so I was just like, well, he's waiting for his laundry to finish, let me go record this video real quick. Anyways, anyway, sorry, I was watching her park and didn't really know what she was doing. What was I saying? Penguins. They're my favorite thing in the first movie. They're my favorite thing in this movie. I don't know if they'll be the best part of the third movie. I don't know if they can really hold their own movie, but I'm looking forward to seeing if they can. There's 2 antagonists in this movie. There's the human antagonist, who's the old lady from the first movie who beat the heck out of Alex, who is crazy and is like, becomes this tribal cult leader, which I think is funny. The scene where she and Alex are literally just punching each other. It's a more cartoony version of Peter Griffin and the chicken from Family Guy. Just them, I mean, that's also really cartoony, which is like the places they go with it, but it's also like a pretty violent fight when they do it. This is just 2 people punching the shit out of each other, no blood, no crazy violence. I think Alex loses a tooth. And, it's Madagascar, so it's also very rubbery the way they move, which I don't mind, I actually kind of enjoy. So I enjoyed that. Like, anytime she was on screen was funny. Then Makunga, I think, was the name of the bad lion, who's... I was gonna say G-rated Scar, but Lion King is a G-rated movie. Like, let's be real for a second, but it's basically take Scar and make him less dignified and less, like, really effective, and more just a slimy Alec Baldwin. Like, he's even got, like, a really greasy mane. Like, I mean, his design, I think, is pretty funny. But I didn't find his character super funny. I didn't find him super interesting. Like, almost anything he did, Clay and I would just start referencing Lion King. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't help that every time, like, your main antagonist is doing something, I'm just comparing this to a far superior movie. Which, but he's not awful by any means. So I guess let's look at our main characters and what their arcs are. So we'll go from least important arc to most important arc. So starting with Gloria the hippo. Her arc is, I'm getting to that age where I want to, kind of settle down. I want to find someone. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something else in my species because, who wouldn't? But aside from that, I don't really know what I'm looking for. And it's something I can empathize with. Like, I turn 30 in a few months, and every time I think about that, I'm like, oh boy, I can feel the spiders crawling along my knees and their cobwebs because I feel so old. But I'm like, that's something I can empathize with, just wanting to find someone, settle down, like, really try to find what you are looking for. She's not a particularly funny character. Like, I can't really think of jokes with her. Aside from, like, her interactions with Moto, which I'll talk about that in a second. But I don't find her particularly funny. Her story gets just enough attention to remind you that it's there, it's something going on, but it's not a big focus, and I wish she was a funnier character. Moto is hilarious. He is this big hippo with these, like, massive pecs, voiced by Will.i.am. I believe he's Will.i.am. I guess another quick voice actor thing. So, in addition to sleazy Alec Baldwin Lion, there's, like, a tour guide who, he started talking, and I was like, I know that voice. That's just Hermes from, actually, that's just Hermes from Futurama. I need to check if that's the same person. Wait, Hermes was voiced by Phil Lamar? I actually didn't know that. Holy crap, Samurai Jack is in this movie. Like, let's go. And something I also didn't know is that will.i.am did the intro to Samurai Jack. I was like, wait a second. We have Samurai Jack and the guy that did his theme song in this movie. Man, like, if only we managed to get Aku in here, that would have been fucking perfect. But it is what it is. Sorry, Moto. Basically all of his dialogue is approaching Gloria going, girl, you huge. You are the plumpest, thickest hippo I've ever seen. And I think it's so funny. Like, it's just so over the top. And it's like they literally at one point like start having a date. She's like, Moto, before we start to get serious, like, what made you so interested in me? Like, well, girl, you the plumpest I've ever seen. Like, yeah, well, what else? And you can, like, hear the fucking monkey with the cymbals going off in his head, like, or to use another animated movie, shout out to my boy Derek from The Swan Princess. What else is there? Like, girl, you huge. Like, it's funny, which is like, I like the idea that they're going for. She's like, yeah, like, I know I'm attractive. I know I'm a thick hippo, but what else is there? Like, if I'm trying to settle down, I want to find someone who doesn't just want me for my body. I want someone who cares about me. And, he doesn't really know her. He just finds her attractive. And I think the dialogue is funny. I like the idea that they're going for as well. I guess, like, the more I kind of talk about it, I wish Gloria was a more interesting character, or, like, was a funnier character. But I do like what they're going for in her story. So now we transition into Melman. So like I've said, I hate looking at him. I think he's gross and disgusting. I wish I had the camera obscura and I could try and fucking exercise this thing. This wasn't as prevalent later in the film, but when he first started talking, I was like, why do I know that voice? Why is it so familiar to me? Now I know it's David Schwimmer. I know that's Ross from Friends. I'm like, that's not it. There's something else that's super familiar about his voice. Oh my god, he sounds just like Moist Critical. I can't unhear it because I've been watching a lot of his videos lately. Like, oh my goodness, he just sounds... And I called the time out. We were watching the movie, and Jose came in around that time too. I was like, all right, guys, is it just me or does he sound like Moist Critical? And then Jose broke. He was just like, he started laughing. He was like, oh man, that got me. He's like, you're kind of right. I can't unhear it now. What the fuck? But that was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, was seeing Jose's reaction to that. But though his thing is being the hypochondriac, they're like, you guys don't have a doctor? No, when we get sick, we just dig a dying hole and we go into the dying hole. Like, it's pretty funny. I kind of like that. I feel like I'm actually liking the jokes more thinking about them than when they were actually being told in the movie. Which, make of that what you will. But, sorry, brain turned off for a second. But the dying one's like, you guys don't have a doctor? No, well, you could be the doctor, though. So there's like a scene of him working as a doctor. I'm like, okay, the guy who's super health conscious becoming the doctor for other... That's actually kind of funny. Like, I would like to see more of that. Then it just kind of stops. You're like, hey, our witch doctor had really similar spots. He fucking died. Maybe that's gonna happen to you. He's like, oh no, I guess I'm gonna die. And I don't really think what they do with it is that funny. I guess, like, just like the jokes around it. His main arc, though, is that he likes Gloria. He is attracted to the hippo. He wants to be in love and, like, in a relationship with the hippo. But he doesn't really have the guts to tell her. And, it's... Now that he thinks he's going to die, he has the guts to be able to tell her. And he talks to Moto. He's like, she is most wonderful person. These are things she likes. These are things I like about her. And if I was in your position, I would treat her like the queen she is. Which, like, good shit. It's very sweet. It's also a giraffe wanting to fuck a hippo. And that's my disconnect with it. Like, Skipper's attraction to, like, the Hawaiian girl bobblehead is funny to me. Because it's just, like, really silly. Like, it feels like this is something that is... this is something that is played as a joke. And it's pretty funny. This is something that is played completely seriously. And I'm like, okay. I'd probably be more invested in this potential relationship if this wasn't an abomination of the species, but... Oh, okay. I'm not as invested in your arc. A lot of it is because I hate looking at you, and every time you're on screen, it just bothers me, but okay. Okay. We'll move on to Marty. Honestly, I feel like Melman's arc is probably a bigger arc than Marty's, but we'll get to Marty. Marty's arc is every zebra is the same. Not only do we look the same, we sound the same, like we have the same voice. They're literally all voiced by Chris Rock. Like we say the same things, we act the same way. He's like, I always thought I was something unique. I thought I was something special, but now that I'm, meeting more people like me, I'm realizing I am actually a dime a dozen. There is nothing special or unique about me. And I'm now having an existential crisis. Like, wow, this is really interesting. Like, this... I kind of wish this was the main plot of the movie. It's like, this actually sounds like something I would like to watch. Because, that's... Like, fuck, that's actually, kind of deep. I kind of dig that. And it doesn't really get a lot of focus. Essentially, the recurring joke with it is Alex cannot tell Marty apart from other zebras because, yes, they look the same and sound the same, which, that's definitely a racist joke. Like, that's fucked. That's clever, but that's fucked. And even that, it's like, even my best friend can't tell me apart from other people. And I want to be able to talk to him about my problem, but not only is he too absorbed in his own shit to help me with it, he's kind of become part of my problem. Like, that's, again, I think that's really interesting and really kind of sad. I really liked it whenever they were focusing on it, but, again, it actually didn't get as much focus as I would have liked. The main focus of the movie is Alex. Alex has returned to the reservation he was born in. His dad is the head of the pride and, kind of like the king of the entire reserve. Alex is not a real lion because, he was raised in captivity. He doesn't know how to hunt. He doesn't know how to fight. He knows how to dance. He knows how to perform and entertain. And the complicated relationship with his dad, which essentially boils down to, son, I wish you were a better lion. Well, I am what I am. I'm sorry that I'm a disappointment. I don't want to say I am too, because it's like, I am too. I'm disappointed, but you're also my son, and I love you, and I want to do what I can to accept you and make you happy. It's that song and dance, no pun intended. And it's not bad. It's the kind of thing where, I've seen this a gajillion times. It's nothing really that unique, aside from the fact that I guess they're both lions. But it's not unlikable. And I feel like that's a really good way to describe most of this movie is, it's not unlikable unless it's King Julian, because otherwise, I'm not actively cringing at jokes. Some of them just don't work for me, but there's quite a few. I'm like, okay, I actually kind of liked that. I think what they try to do with the characters is interesting for the most part. It's either genuinely interesting like Marty or with Gloria. This is actually really relatable. I dig this. I think this is a way better movie than the first one. And even while watching it, I was like, this is a better movie. I don't know if it's that much better, but as I'm talking about it, I'm like, okay, I think this is a definite better movie than the second one. Because I feel like I had more storylines to be engaged in. There's more jokes that I find funny. Yeah, I like this one more. I'd probably give it a B-. It's definitely, for me, not in my upper echelon of DreamWorks movies. It doesn't hold a candle to the Shrek movie. It's maybe around Shrek 3. I like Shrek 3 more than I liked this. But it's not as good as Shrek 1 or Shrek 2, Prince of Egypt, Kung Fu Panda 1 or 2. But I liked it more than I expected to. So we'll take that. I have not seen 3. Well, I've heard it's the best one. We'll see. Like I said, haven't seen Penguins. I hope I like it as much as I like the Penguins in the other movies, but again, we'll see how it goes. I know Monsters vs. Aliens is next. I know I've seen it once and did not like it. Maybe on a rewatch, I'll be like, you know what? you know what, I was in the wrong state of mind, or like I thought it was going to be a more action-based kind of movie about monsters fighting aliens, and that's not really what it's about. It's really just about this woman's story, and it's a good story. I like it with some funny jokes. We'll see. And I know after that is How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm really looking forward to rewatching that. But that's all I've got for this one. Probably gonna go get some food with my dad, so bye.